Welcome everyone to this edition of SoulFull Sessions. And with me today is a really special guest, Fern Conn. She and I are going to be talking about yoga for modern living. And let me tell you a little bit about Fern before we get into this conversation. So Fern has been in the fitness and wellness industry for over 35 years. Yes, when you look at her, you won't believe that. Her journey began as a dancer in New York City, and then she followed a track as a personal trainer and wellness coach. She's led programs around the world for studios, country clubs, corporate wellness programs, and more. And today, Fern owns Dancing Lion Studio, which is located in Delray Beach, Florida. It is a yoga studio and healing arts center. She fell in love with yoga many, many years ago and has a passion. Her passion for meditation led her to this wonderful practice. The philosophy that she employs is yoga is for everybody. It is a true mind, body, soul practice. Fern is, and I'm not sure exactly what ERYT stands for specifically. We'll have her share more about that. 500 hours, I know that for sure, and is a continuing education provider for Yoga Alliance. She leads teacher trainings at her studio as well as online worldwide. Fern is also, if that all wasn't enough, a certified ParaYoga Nidra teacher and brings the practice of meditation to many. Fern's true passion is to bring community together with the healing arts and to bring the ancient teachings of yoga to the modern yogi. Hence, our conversation today, why she's the perfect guest for this conversation. All right, I'm gonna, as I do on every show, I share the sun, moon, and rising or ascendant sign for each one of my guests. So I'm really excited to share this with Fern today. So Fern, you are a Sag sun. And what does that mean? Okay, so your sun is how you present to the world. It's your external sort of energy. Friendly, witty, adaptable. And another little fun fact is you tend to, oh wait, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I spoke about the Sag, that was your Gemini moon. So we'll just back it up here for a second. Gemini moon is friendly, witty, adaptable, and you tend to work with the public, which is all true. Gemini moon, like the moon, is your internal and how you engage with those closest to you. It can also be related to your mother, but it's that internal place. It's that relationship with yourself. Okay. Let me go back to the Sag sun. Sorry, I was reading on the wrong thing. I was telling Fern earlier, my setup is a little bit off today. So I'm like kind of, it's, imagine like you have like a go-kart or something, and you had it all set up and then you have a crash and then you have to put it all back together with duct tape and whatever pieces you have. That's where I am today. So forgive me for that. So Sag sun is also friendly. So that's where I got a little mixed up here. So she's got a lot of really friendly, beautiful energy in that way. It's an on-the-go energy. You think of Sag as this fire sign. It's a fire sign. So it's very much like moving and shaking, and she's doing, which I can attest to knowing her. She's also a leader, very warm-hearted, very curious. Now, if we go to her Aquarius ascendant, we have some overlap here. More curiosity, independence, may have skills in science or metaphysics, and we'll be talking about both of those today, I believe. And these energies may be felt at different times of life, so it may not be an overriding theme, but they may come in waves, if you will. And your ascendant or rising sign is the energies which you're rising into, that you are here to cultivate in this life. So really quickly, Fern, does that, before we get to what you're known for saying, does that feel, do those feel true to you?
Well, definitely the Sagittarian, my sun sign. I feel like I've always embodied whatever has been written about that sun sign. I tend to be a little fiery, pitta, not in nature, but I need to learn more to sit still, hence the meditation practice.
Yeah.
So that totally makes sense to me. I didn't realize the Aquarian aspect of it, so I'd love to delve at another time more deeply into that one.
Yeah, and I
So,
think it's really cool too, because both Gemini and Aquarius are both air signs. So they're very, they're very thought and intellectual sort of mental sort of energies. And those are really great, can be really great for you if you're able to balance that with the stillness and also with action and going in deeper into the water, into the emotional piece. So, and it's, that's great if you're curious and if you are creative, both I think are true for you. So, yeah, it is. It's really cool when you're able to see, and those are just three aspects, or the probably the bigger aspects of someone's astrology, but yeah, kind of fun to know. Okay, so moving on to the things you're known for saying, and I ask every guest this question, and what I think is so cool is that Fern's responded to this question, and she sent back this little note that said #FernFormations. And I just thought that's hysterical and so appropriate, with her being a teacher of, not just yoga, but meditation and a number of other things, as I mentioned earlier. But she's able to, take her wisdom and put it in kind of this fun, playful way, Fern formations. So she describes them as affirmations for more joyful and peaceful living, which I love. But her quote, the one thing that she's really known for saying that ties in directly with what we're talking about today is, you can practice asana, which are the physical poses, and never experience yoga. And you can experience yoga without practicing asana. So she went on to say, it's the inner work, it's noticing. This is what enlightenment means. So, we're starting off big and bold in this SoulFull Sessions episode.
Yeah,
we are not
right to the deep waters here.
That's right. We are not messing around.
Oh gosh.
So, all right. So Fern, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. This is well, I love talking about this subject, anything yoga, anything wellness, anything healing, and love talking to you. So I appreciate you having me.
Yay, wonderful. Yes, such an honor. So let's just get this conversation going. So,
okay.
Opening question I ask every guest that's come on SoulFull Session. Tell us about a recent experience that lit you up when you just knew it was your soul talking to you. And I know that's a biggie.
Okay, so recent, I'm going to give it a platform of not like the last few weeks. I'm going to give it the platform of the last 2 years is when I started this studio. It was July of 19, about 8 months before we had to shut down. I have been teaching my whole entire life. I've been running around South Florida doing some stuff for corporate wellness, and I never thought of owning a studio. This literally fell into my lap. I was invited to share this space. And long story short, it has become like, I know all the work that I've been doing my entire life has led me to here. This is not an accident. This is the universe putting me here to begin to lead the teacher trainings that are my heart's desire, to build community, to create a center that's not only a yoga studio with great teachers and authentic yoga, but also anything else to do with healing arts and wellness. So I wake up every morning, I'm going to like cry thinking about this, that it's an accumulation of my life's work and my dharma. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I am living my soul's purpose, and I've done a lot of things in my life. So it's leading the way in this studio. It is a labor of love. It's the hardest job I've ever had in my entire life. It's 24/7, but I wake up every day with just this fullness, like, wow, I'm sharing what I love. This is what I'm meant to be doing. And also lifting up all the people that are around me, my beautiful teachers and community. So I'm here, I'm living it. And I took a long and winding road, and I do a lot of work on that with some of the workshops I do on how to really connect with your soul's passion. But I'm at this point in my life, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
I mean, that's amazing and so incredible. And I think for anyone listening, I think it tells the story of listening to that voice that's calling to you, and that feeling inside, that spark of excitement. And your mind may go, I don't know how the hell I'm going to make this work, or this is an insane plan. But there's some part of you that keeps just won't allow you to forget it, that keeps going.
I will tell you, I had no plan. As I said, I never thought of being a studio owner. I was sharing the space with somebody that wanted to do kids fitness at first, and I had my daughter involved, and we started off part-time, and I gave it no thought. I said yes. But I think is that using the tools of yoga, which means that you are listening to your inner voice, made me see the opportunity, right? Sometimes we don't know, we try so hard and we pound on a door that's not for us. And if we just find this quiet stillness and we look the other way, there's the door. There's our door. It might be behind us, right? So, and that I just kept traveling down this path that was presented to me. The universe presented it to me with this deep knowing that, wow, this is really where I just kept listening. And, not to say it's easy, especially with what we've been through, but I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling.
And that, I think, is what most of us are looking for. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's so huge. And I love the fact that you touch on how it's not easy. Living your purpose does not mean, it's smooth sailing the whole way and no problem. I think it gives you that fuel to move through the obstacles that present themselves, and to be able to find the silver lining in a cloud, and to be able to continue to push forward, and take that next step when you feel like you really just want to crawl in bed and put your head under the covers.
Had those days. It's, they call it a labor of love for a reason. And the path to success, there's no such thing as overnight. It comes with this internal fire. In yoga, we call it tapas. It's a reverence to your practice or your work. It's an undying reverence to learning. I am continuing to be a student, which makes sense in my signs there. I never stop learning. I'm a perpetual student. But it is this inner drive, this passion to get up and keep doing it over and over again. It is hard work. Nothing good in life comes easy. And truly, the yoga principles, which there are many, but they have given me the presence of mind, the internal fortitude, the connection to my true self. Like, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. As I said, I've done many things to keep going, and also to share these with other people, which is my big thing. Is I am a teacher at heart. You mentioned I do lead teacher trainings, and they are transformational for my students. You are never the same, which all teacher trainings are, but I really give all of myself so that they use the tools, if they want to be a teacher, to be the best teacher. And that's getting into the energetic emotional realm. That's to do what we call the shadow work. And these are yoga tools that help everybody in their daily life. Like the quote that you used, and I'll circle back to that. You can come to a class and do handstands and tree pose in every posture and never experience the true essence of the meditative, mindful practice of yoga. It's just a workout. Or You can go about your life using these meditative tools or the yoga principles and experience a yogic life without ever coming to the mat. You can sit in meditation and be a yogi. And they say it's a path of enlightenment. And I don't mean that you suddenly are this guru. It is this your inner light, your true nature. Many of us don't know. So many of us never know. Or many of us have a yearning to do something, but we have fears and doubts, big ones. The yogis have all these tools so that we get rid of our fears and our doubts. Those are based on our experiences or what people have told us, but they're not real. The yoga tools help us navigate the fluctuations of the mind so that we have peace. All the yogis wanted is to have peace of mind and come back to the joy we're born with. We get in our own way. We let our fears creep in, our doubts. We look at social media, we compare. Big one.
That is a big one. Yeah. I think
And
a lot of people can relate to that for sure.
Totally. The yoga principles, and there, like I said, there are many. They're the yamas and niyamas. Those are the ethical guidelines, but there's so many more ways to learn to be the seer. We see our own thoughts and we're like, wow, that's not working for me anymore. I am never stepping forward doing what I really love because someone told me something, right? I was, as a child, told I wasn't good in math. I wasn't good at math. I was great in the other subjects, but then I perpetuated that in my own mind. And through my life, I had a fear of it. I became a realtor and a real estate broker. I had to do math, right? And so I started questioning and seeing these self-fulfilling prophecies based on fears that weren't true. And that's just a small one. So, believe it or not, yoga helps us overcome these things in so many ways. It helps us quiet the mind, and that's the meditation. So many people think that they can't meditate. They sit and they start thinking of other things. And then the more they try to meditate, they start thinking of other things. And that's totally normal, right? It's not to stop thinking, it's to learn to manage your thoughts. I will tell you, half of your thoughts, if not more, aren't even true. Think about that, right? They're based on our life's experience. Some of them may have been true at one time or no longer true, or some simply never were true. They were thoughts, you're not good in math or any other thing that you bring into your adult life and gets in the way of your joy, living your dharma, owning a yoga studio. Like in my prior life or earlier, I would think, oh, I can't do that. And I let my fears and I say that almost everything that I do, right? I can't do that. That's too big. And then you sit back and like, oh, why not? Why not? So we use yoga to get rid of the fears and the doubts and to bring about the best life that you can have. And it's purely that magical. It really is.
Well, so
And
sorry, go ahead.
No,
I was just thinking about how something you had said earlier, you were talking about the physical practice of yoga that I think most people think of immediately when they hear the term yoga, and also about it, not even necessarily stepping on a mat and practicing yoga,
right.
Which I think is such a great distinction because as you were talking earlier, I was thinking, man, wonder why I haven't gotten back on the mat. I wonder why I stopped the physical practice of yoga. And as you shared that, I realized like I really haven't. I maybe haven't physically gotten on the mat in any real formal way in quite some time, but I do live my life from a place of the what I would consider like the yogic principles, and that more observer, higher. I don't mean better. I just mean from a higher vantage point mindset. And at least I do my best. There are times that I'm not successful at doing that. Yeah.
It's so self-inquiry, but And we do go through phases in our lives where, now I grew up a dancer. I love movement. So that aspect of it was the first thing I was drawn to. And in fact, the spiritual side, which has become my strong side, or the energetic emotional, I don't even want to say spiritual. Sometimes it scares people.
Yes.
It's not a religion at all, but the energetic emotional realm came after. I love moving my body. And I want to say that the funniest thing that I hear is, well, I can't practice yoga because I'm not flexible, right? So it's funny to me because you don't need to be flexible, first of all, to practice yoga. You can gain flexibility in the asana practice. And so the two are kind of parallel parts of yoga. So the thing that I love most about our studio is that we welcome all bodies here, all levels here. One of the reasons we call the studio Dancing Lion Studio is there's an asana or a movement in yoga where you're on all fours and you're just moving like a dancing lion with there's no alignment cues. We close our eyes. It's very liberating. You're moving in a way that's perfect for you, as if you were just in your own bedroom. You know how you sing with a hairbrush and nobody's watching? Well,
Yes.
it's kind of the same thing. You're just moving freely. And so our studio, Dancing Lion Studio, is to elicit this feeling that you show up just the way you are. And I just wrote something in my newsletter that we call it a yoga practice. It's a yoga practice because it is ever changing. And the only thing that's perfect in it is you. You come to the mat wherever you are. You learn the tools of yoga, like not judging yourself. That's a big one. Not comparing yourself. That's a big one. And you see those principles then weave themselves into your life off the mat. Okay, so I'm not going to judge myself to that person on Instagram or my neighbor down the street. I'm not going to connect to that perception of better or worse. And those are inherent principles that we learn in the physical practice, but is so much more. Right. That's the beautiful thing. I like to say it like creeps up on you. My words creep up on you. And like suddenly you're out living your life and the small stuff doesn't matter anymore. You stop self-judging. And then all of these little things give you peace of mind. That's really what we want in life, is to have peace of mind, joy, not to have pain and suffering. Nobody deserves pain and suffering. And most of us are. Right? Can you imagine if you lived your life without comparison or not judging? And it starts on the mat. So you don't have to be flexible. You can come to any studio, any studio, and practice in a way that works for you. Then your body gets stronger and you may get more flexible. But another thing I like to say, it doesn't make you a better person if you could touch your toes. You're just someone who could touch your toes. So yeah, that's another beautiful way to express how yoga is taken off the mat.
Well, and I think, you actually got ahead of me with one of the questions I was going to ask you, was about like the physical body and
Yes.
and being able to show up no matter where you are as far as your fitness level, your physique.
Yes.
I love that you touched on that. I love that you are very aware and welcoming to everyone, no matter where you
Absolutely.
are. And I think for most people, the first time they go to a yoga class is so daunting because
Oh,
they
they're
don't want to.
intimidated. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to look dumb. They don't want to fall over. They don't know what to do. It can be very, very
Yes.
uncomfortable.
And especially for a physical type of practice. You could kind of fake your way if you're in a book club or something else, but you're putting yourself out there, right? You're You're aware. Everybody has body image issues. I don't care who you are. You know, there's something that we say to ourselves on a daily
Mhm.
basis, which is another conversation of that self chatter. But we immediately make you feel comfortable in where you are. The dialogue throughout the practice, all of my teachers here, is that um, you can do no wrong. If you fall out of a pose, you're in tree pose, you fall out of a pose, so what? Like, what's the worst case scenario, right? You fell out of a pose. A yogi gets back in, right? The yogi mindset in your real life gets back in. If you just want to let it go and have a failure, okay, then there's something to navigate there. But the physical practice is intimidating. I myself try to make it as joyful experience. And you know what? We have a little fun. So we try fancier poses or arm balances, and I fall out of poses, I wobble out of poses. We're human, right? So I try to give that message to the students. So then the next time you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. I can, stand on one leg and not a big deal. And you get better at it. But you get better at it because you start disassociating yourself with all that mind chatter. And I will go back to that self-talk. Um, Another one of my quotes I love to say is, every cell of our body eavesdrops on our thoughts. So, I always think of this is, we're so conscious these days of organic food and clean water and supplements and consuming stuff that is good. But what about our own thoughts? How toxic are they? Like, how many days or how many times a day do you say things to yourself that you would never say to someone else? We're all guilty of this. Well, that shows up in the body. Literally, you can think dis-ease into your body. Skin problems, aches and pains, heart issues, headaches. Part of the yoga philosophy is to stop that. Stop that. I'll say to somebody, I can't, but if I see they're struggling in a practice, and I always say I like to read minds, but I know I can see in their face, their mind is elsewhere, they're struggling, they're feeling uncomfortable, to just bring them back to the present moment, to take a breath. Right now, none of that is happening, right? You take a breath. Usually we're dwelling on the past, dwelling on the future. That's depression and anxiety. Again, these are yogic tools. When we notice this, we bring ourselves back to the present moment where it's just peace, right? So it's quite profound. And I know we're going down this deep road, but it really is so simple. It is so simple. We're our own worst enemies with our own thoughts, right?
Well, and it's interesting, the one observation that I've had when it comes to yoga is that oftentimes people discover yoga when they're in a really tough place in life.
Yes.
So they are getting knocked down by one
Yes.
thing after another thing after another thing. And I can raise my hand and say that was my experience. I discovered yoga when I had a number of different areas in my life crashing in on me. My marriage was not in a good place. My father was dying. I was having some significant issues with the relationship with one of my children. It was all of my foundational structural pieces of life were very shaky and clearly coming down on my head and my heart. And so I did turn to yoga as something anyway. And honestly, for me, it was more of an escape versus a solution, but I was surprised to find a solution in the escape, which was quite a lovely gift. And, I will say too, like how Fern and I met was, it's kind of I would say on the tail end of all of that. Like, it was not solved by any stretch, but I was taking steps to move forward in my life. And I was actually, at the time I was living in Virginia, but I was visiting South Florida, and my sister was with me, and my sister actually is in town right now at the time of this recording. So it's coming to me how full circle and beautiful this story is. And she came with me, and there was a yoga festival in Fort Lauderdale. And there were, a number of amazing teachers and presenters and all sorts of exciting, fun things going on. And my sister and I went, and she was drawn to this really like high impact, like really, I don't even have like power yoga sort of yoga class, which was so not my vibe, not my jam at all. I wanted something a little more relaxing and a little more inward reflecting. I really was looking for healing more than like movement and getting a heart pumping. So I was drawn to Fern's class. I can't even remember the name of what it was, but I do remember being in that class. And there was at one point where Fern guided everyone to kind of go in, like, kind of pull yourself in and cocoon yourself in a way, and just allow whatever is there to be there. I think I cried 80% of that class. And I remember thinking, man, I hope that she is close to Boca Raton, because Fort Lauderdale is kind of far for me. I guess I can drive here, but it's kind of far. And then when I found out she was in Delray, which is like 15 minutes from Boca, I was elated, because I knew, okay, this is great. There's something here. And like Fern said, she had only been open a short time. And then by the time I actually ended up moving to South Florida, a couple months later, the pandemic happened. And my yoga practice at that point was really kind of on the back burner, because I had so many other things on the front burners that were overflowing and needing attention. So, but I did touch in periodically. We kept in touch. Fern then reached out to me about doing some work with her. And that was such a beautiful, full circle experience, where we were able to connect in on a different level. And I am so grateful for her friendship, and for, allowing me to come into her, as she's already shared, her sacred studio space, where her heart and her soul and her essence is all over. And so if you think about it in those terms, inviting someone into that space, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. So I take that very much to heart. And I really understand how it is. It's important, and I think that if anyone were to come to one of her classes, whether it's in person or online, you will feel that everyone is welcome. And there's always, every time I talk with Fern, there's always some little nugget of wisdom that I can take away from the conversation. And sometimes that little nugget is the seed that's planted for something bigger. And I think that's a huge piece of why I do these podcasts, is because the people that I invite on have something to share with those that are interested in what I'm sharing. And that could be just that little seed for them to grow, to blossom, and to be everything that they're potentially able to be. It's there. They just have to see it, to believe it, to allow it to appear. And I think that's part of your gift and talent.
First of all, I appreciate you sharing that story. And I remember that day. And I wake up every day and look for an opportunity to just shine a little kindness. The world is a rough place, right? It's a hard place, and people do cry here. It's kind of a good yogi joke. You haven't really done your job unless you make somebody cry in your class. And I have literally closed a class with tears streaming down my eyes, because there's an energy exchange. I've been teaching for so many years now, and of course I plan a class, but then something shifts in the room as people walk in and a
Yeah.
story is told. So a lot of my teaching is totally intuitive. It is a downloaded channel type of thing. There are times where I'm so transformed as I teach, I don't even really remember what I said in the practice. But it is, and I say this in my teacher trainings, I leave my heart on the table
Yeah.
every time. If there's something that I can do to help someone heal, this is a healing practice. And it doesn't always have to be this big transformative thing. Sometimes people just want to come and move their bodies. That's okay too. But if I can say one thing that will help somebody, I did my job for the day. I can go to
Yeah.
sleep, and that's my journey. I mean, that's my life's work. So, well, thank you for sharing that story. I remember that day, that class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really amazing experience. And it definitely left, I left there from your class and from the other things
Hmm.
that I witnessed, that I experienced, the people that I met. I was so
Yeah.
grateful that my sister was there with me to
Yeah.
be a part of that. And,
That's
it
great.
really made a difference. It really, really did. And I was just grateful. I'm like, okay, this is wonderful. Now I have a place to, uh, to land. I have a place to go. I have, somebody that I
Sangha.
know I can connect it with energetically that
Yeah.
will get it. And,
So what's interesting is that just to weave that into what we're doing here, because we're not just a yoga studio, part of what I love so much is creating a sense of community. Um, some people just move down to Florida, it can be a transient state, or some people are going through times of divorce where your friends shift, or sometimes you shift. We have an evolution of our being, and people who were in our lives at one point fall out of our lives. So we're looking for a new community. So I do a full moon event here every month that we do outside. We do special workshops like the ones that you are offering, that this soulful connection and this embodied loving type of wonderful connection, so that even if you don't want to practice yoga, maybe you're seeking people who are on this similar path of finding themselves out or looking for something new. That's here. That's here. So you may find, like I am doing a workshop on with acupuncture and yoga nidra. So I'll be leading a yoga nidra meditation. Somebody else will be doing acupuncture. It's just lying there in bliss. Maybe that's your jam.
yeah,
So we do a lot of really unique. We've done ecstatic dance. So really unique type of things that touch the heart and create community. So that's always on my mind. Touch the heart, create community. How can we build that? And we were building up, and obviously we had to shut down, and that whole thing happened in 2020. So now we are gearing back up to offer these things. We have our wellness series coming, and your event is included on that in the 29th.
yeah,
So that's really, I always, just to share a little personal thing, believe it or not, it's so funny because I can get up and teach in front of a room of 1,000 people. I've done corporate events in front of thousands of people, but I was mortifyingly shy as a child.
mm,
Totally shy, as like couldn't even look you in the eye. And there's still that little bit of reservedness in my nature. I guess that's, I don't know, the Aquarian. I don't know what part of it is, not the
well,
Sagittarian, but
well,
I have that.
I can't necessarily speak to what it is within your astrology, but some of the other work I do with soul contracts, where there's specific energies
Okay,
that you come into this world with, is
right.
likely where that comes from. And you have likely worked through a good bit of it, that it doesn't show
So,
up in your day-to-day life as often.
so the lessons I learned growing up, being a very shy kid, you get bullied. And I was as a child.
Mm.
I was, into my dance, and I had these thick glasses and like I was just this nerdy kid, right? So I think I identify, there's something about that in everybody. Like I would never want anybody to feel left out, or that's so close to my heart, that aspect of human nature, that we really go above and beyond. When you walk in the store, it is like my home. Can I get you anything? You need a mat, you need an extra blanket or pillow, because of that experience.
Yeah.
So that's so big and bold to me, that aspect of human nature.
Well, and that likely
So,
is one of the reasons why your studio has the feeling that it has, because
mm,
you are acting from that wounded part of you
yeah.
that you remember, and
Hmm.
you are ensuring that anyone and everyone that comes in the door feels seen and heard and loved and welcomed and
Safe.
comfortable.
Hmm.
Safe, yes,
Safe
exactly.
space. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
totally.
Well, and it does have that. It definitely does have that feeling. And to go back to what you had said about community too, that's something else I can speak firsthand about. I did a workshop, I guess a couple months ago now, and
Hmm.
it was around energy and flowers and, healing elixirs from a company that I love, Lotus Way.
So good.
And it was a beautiful, beautiful group of souls that were in the room that day. And Fern pretty much kind of tapped into certain folks who really needed that space held, that really she could feel and sense, okay, these are the gals in my community, and these gals, you mentioned it to them, but they have free will and they have choice
Yeah,
and they can
there were
determine.
specific people that I did
Yeah,
reach out
yeah.
to, for sure. But
And and I think that
yeah.
that's really cool, because sometimes we don't see certain soft spots that we have, the blind spots we have, those
Hmm.
areas that we really do need a little bit of an arm around us to say it's
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
but we don't even recognize it. And so I think that's the beauty of the space that you hold at Dancing Lion, Fern, is that, like you said before, you can see when someone is a little wobbly, there's something going
Yeah.
on. There's a heartache. There is
Hmm.
their mind is like moving at 1,000 miles an hour. They can't settle. And, oftentimes you become their counselor in a way. They share with you because they feel safe. And then
Totally.
when you know that, and you happen to be offering something that's exactly what they need in that moment, how cool, because they already feel safe with you. They feel safe in the
Right.
space. You're telling them this person has something that you may need, and then that will help them. And
Mm.
I've been in touch with a few of the gals,
Hmm.
just little bits and pieces here and there, but I love that. I love that connection. So you
Hmm.
are definitely building a community that is loving and supportive and
And
safe.
thank you. And I appreciate that. To just bring it back, and it is based on the very essence of the yoga practice. We have the Yoga Sutras, which that's a whole other podcast. But the premise is to practice ahimsa, which is kindness, to do no harm. That's the essence of the yoga principles. And if you can live with that type of philosophy and work your life around something so simple as that, that's a yoga principle. And there's another yoga principle, or the yamas and niyamas, something like asteya. Asteya means non-stealing. Now we think of non-stealing as, well, obviously I'm not going to take your money or your credit card or your belongings. That's a whole other non-stealing. But I like to always share that one of my pet peeves is being late. I love to be on time. And if you think about it, if you're late for something, you're actually stealing someone's time, right? This essence of stealing. We never get back time. That will
Mhm.
never return. So it's about doing no harm. It's to do good, to think of another person, to have compassion for humans, to forgive and forget, to see that people are a reflection of you, right? You know, they may be speaking out, or you may not like someone, there's something off about that. Well, I will suggest to you that maybe you see a little of yourself in them. And so these are the yoga principles that we started talking about, just touching upon, that I like to weave in and live my life by, right? I kind of try to live my life for what I teach, that are helpful. And I may not say the words, but the way I teach, and the other teachers do too, is that it becomes a part of what you hear, and then it becomes a part of how you live. And maybe, just maybe, it'll shine a light to begin to let go of something that you can't forgive, or live more empowered, or stop judging yourself, and maybe say one kind thing to yourself a day. I like to say, how about today, say something kind to yourself? And people like look at me, oh, I can't think of a thing, right? I can't think of a thing.
Right.
But you can say 5 things that aren't kind, right? So again, these are yogic principles, and they're so beautiful, and they're so easy to follow, and it's beyond what most people think that they are. And I just love to share it. I mean, it's just so cool.
It is, it really is. And it's such a beautiful gift of wisdom that you share with the people that you come in contact with, whether it's on the mat or in the world. I think that's just so fulfilling, you know, for you and for those of us who are on the receiving end of that. So
Totally.
yeah.
And the point of it is that, just one thought about that, is that
Sure.
we then trickle it out to others. You know, when people take my teacher training, they say, oh, you know, they start self-reflecting, and then suddenly friends of theirs see changes, and maybe there's a little conflict or friction because they no longer are in alignment. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
a friend is somebody that saps your energy or is codependent, and you, following this yogic path, realize you are more empowered and you don't want that energy around you. So whew, it's a lot that can what my first thought was is that you then shine your light, and then it ripples out to everybody else.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. If we all practiced yoga and we all shine our light, how much more beautiful the world would be, right? I think we need it now more than ever.
So true.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If it starts with us first, you know, being able to
totally
recognize it within ourselves and not being
right.
so hard on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And one way to do that, at least I have found, is, you know, specific daily rituals, or, you know, these daily practices that we have. I mean, obviously yoga itself is a practice. So beyond that, you know, to close out this beautiful, captivating conversation, what rituals, Fern, do you have, if any, that, and I'm sure that there are some besides yoga, that you're able to tune into your soul's voice or bring your soul online for yourself?
Well, my meditation practice, I specifically love yoga nidra. And
Would you mind sharing with those who may not know what that is, sharing with
well,
them
okay,
a brief description?
it is enlightened sleep. So we have awakened state, a sleep state, and a state of consciousness beyond that. We call that the 4th state, or turiya. And without getting too scientific, first let me say that I did study with Yoga Rupa Rod Stryker, who's one of my main teachers, who, if anybody wants to know the beautiful path of yoga, just witness anything he does. But nonetheless, it is a very scientific and specific way of meditating, where you are aware and awake. Your mind is asleep, your body's asleep, but consciousness is aware. And it brings us to a place of healing, or brings us to a place of tapping into our cognition a little bit more. There's one that we do where we bring our memory back by half hours. It's a very healing and powerful type of meditation. It is guided, but you're not guided to a place that may bring up trauma. Very specific. We link with the breath. First, we attach with the breath, and then we just let the breath go. I highly recommend anybody coming to one of my yoga nidra practices. And some people say nidra, but it's actually nidra. So that in a nutshell is what it is. So that has been a beautiful practice for me, yoga nidra, for myself and for my students. It can be very transformational. I do one-on-one work with people where we look at all aspects of your life, the type of personality you have, your ailments, your physical, your mental, your physical practice. And I do a very, very cohesive type of practice, which yoga nidra could be part of. So anyway, that is one way I connect meditation. And I also try to find a little bit of silence in my day, with no sound. I go home to the peace and quiet because I am in a place where I'm bringing, I have energy coming at me a lot. Sometime in nature when I can. I love music, and obviously I love dance. It's a little known fact, maybe not so little, is I dance and I actually teach tap dancing. So maybe I'm the only tap dancing yogi there is.
You should put that on your website.
I know. There are some videos of it, so I may just throw my tap shoes on and just have a go at it.
Yeah.
So I love to find that joyful moment in my day. And I do think finding a joyful moment in your day, like, don't take things so seriously. What is it that brings you joy? Turn the music on in your car and sing out loud. So it doesn't have to be something so serious. Just what your heart loves. When is the last time you did that?
So true.
Right?
So true. I'd be curious how many people that listen to this go, I wonder what would bring me joy, that really kind of sparks that thought for them.
Right.
What could I do that would really be joyful?
And we forget, and I say, a child knows. The child is very connected to their spiritual side, right? They'll just do what brings them happiness. So maybe have a day, like pick tomorrow, with a beginner's mind. What is it that you always loved that maybe you just fell out of, or life got in the way? Well, I will tell you, people, this moment that I just mentioned, it is gone. The minutes are ticking by. You owe it to yourself to have those joyful moments. This is our life. This is it. We have one body. We want to take care of that. That's the asana practice. And then one heart and one mind. And, the time keeps going. Have a little joy. It's okay. It's okay. I give you permission. And that is yoga as well, right? The yogis wanted us to have peace of mind and find that joy that we were born with. Past the things people have told us, past what we shouldn't do, past what we believe are our fears or shortcomings. Sit in a little self-reflection, go to a yoga class, go to a meditation class, and begin to unravel that so that you can feel joy, right? And it is a choice.
Yeah. I mean, really, if you think about it, everyone would love joy in their life. And I know one place of joy for you is things that you have coming up within Dancing Lion Studio. You have a new website that is coming
Not
soon.
quite yet, because I owe her things.
It's on its way.
It's on its way.
Teacher training, a summer wellness series that you mentioned earlier that I am honored to be a part of. I will be hosting an Empowered Love workshop on August 29th, and I'm really looking forward to that. It's actually a rework of a self-love workshop that I've done for a couple of years, but I tweaked it a little bit, kind of in the same vein of this, is just, we talk about self-love, it's so overused, and I still think people are somewhat confused about what it actually means. And
Yes.
this workshop is really going to share with people what it means to be loving for ourselves, for others, but from a place of power versus disempowerment.
Right.
And, one little tidbit I'll share here that I'll be sharing with the class, which I was shocked and blown away to discover, is when I was looking up synonyms for self-love. Every single synonym was what I would consider a non-beneficial or negative energy. Egotistical, self-centered,
Yes.
self-righteous. So it was all,
Yes.
all of
I was
those
going to say
things.
that.
Yeah, that we tend to think of as the ick factor words or energies, oh, that person's so selfish. How could she or he do that? That it's also that judgy sort of vibe.
Exactly.
And so I'm looking to shift that, turn that upside down, and, really create a shift, not just in our minds, but in our hearts around that space, leaving empowered, leaving knowing who we are and the essence of us, and being able, like you said before, to shine that out into the world. So I'm really thrilled to be part of that, to be hosting that workshop. And I'm going to be bringing in tea from a really beautiful tea company, Modestine Tea, out of New York City, and Lotus Way products out of Phoenix, Arizona, that I talk about often. So it's going to be a really magical, beautiful workshop. And I know that you have some amazing things also throughout the month, in addition to that, but that I can speak to myself, since it's a workshop that I'm hosting. But please,
it is that just to your point, people will say things to themselves that are negative and then turn around and try to shine a light and be kind to someone else. And it's almost like a falsehood. And there is this feeling of almost a selfishness to be kind to yourself or give yourself time to do things that are good for you. But that is, if you can't show yourself love, how can you expect anybody else to love you? And then that's a whole relationship thing, because then we try to and figure out why somebody's not communicating and loving us the way we want, because we don't even know how to do it for ourselves.
Right.
Right.
And
that is a
toughie.
that's a big one.
Yeah, it is a really big one. I see that with a lot of the relationship work that I do, where it really shows up big time. And, oftentimes when I have people come to me for relationship support, they're like, kind of like, fix the relationship. How do we fix the relationship?
You got to fix it yourself.
And I'm like, you've got three energies here, each individual, and then the relationship itself. And each individual work is to be done first. We can do a little of the trio, but you've really got to focus on self before you can heal any fractures within a relationship. And if you've got one of the two individuals that's disinterested or unwilling,
won't work.
It is, you're likely going to be unsuccessful. So, all right, Fern, would you mind sharing with folks, like, any details about upcoming events? We're recording this, a little bit early, so when this actually airs, it'll be really on time with the summer wellness series, and your website may likely be up by then, which would be pretty exciting.
So this summer wellness series, it kind of revolves around the time of year where it's in Ayurveda, it's pitta, it's very hot, we feel sluggish, there's this slow moving energy. So 4 Sundays in August, we're offering something a little bit different to help move energy. The first one, as I mentioned earlier, will be an acupuncture with yoga nidra with a cooling theme, and we're going to serve cooling treats and do a little bit of journaling and sharing, optional always. The second week, I am actually leading a group. We have the beautiful Murakami Museum and Gardens here in Delray Beach. If you've never been, if you're in the area, please visit this spectacular jewel. So we're
Yes.
going to be walking along the path, and I'll be guiding you in a walking meditation, taking in nature. There's also a little Udon festival going on at that time, which is a
Yes.
festival relating to the ancestors, and I'll be calling those in. Very powerful Sunday. Then the third Sunday, we have another teacher, Fabienne Grossman, doing a restorative workshop with bolsters and blankets, and we hold the poses and very meditative and healing. And then the 29th is your beautiful workshop. So every Sunday in August, come visit us. We have these wonderful options to share. And then I'm offering a very unique teacher training. Usually I do a vinyasa teacher training, which is something that people are, pretty familiar with. This training is a yin and restorative teacher training. It's a 200-hour, you become a yoga teacher. I am a continuing education provider. It's over about 3 or 4 months for a few weekends, not in a row, but from September to December. And you will learn how to put together a yin and restorative class. You will learn the teachings of yoga. You will learn the philosophy, the chakras, the anatomy and physiology, the emotional realm of yoga, how to teach a skillful class. Now, not everybody that takes these classes want to teach. Sometimes it's just to learn this beautiful practice, but this is a pretty unique training in that it is a yin practice. It's become a very popular practice these days. Athletes practice yin and restorative to heal their bodies. I work with a lot of golfers, tennis players. It's for all ages. We have young people here that love it. It can calm the mind. It gets into the connective tissue, heals the body. It's great. So that teacher training is still open. You can reach out to me about that if it is an interest of yours. It is a passion of mine. And then we just have lots of good things coming for the remainder of the year. We are actually starting a retreat branch. We're going to be bringing people on the road. It's called Vibrant Retreats. Our first retreat is going to be a local staycation here in Delray. We're finishing that up, but then we're going to be leading groups that not just yoga, but wellness, fitness, nutrition, spiritual arts, where we're going to bring people on the road to different places in the United States and abroad, and just be with us, be in community, and kind of navigate the world.
That is so cool. I didn't know about that. I knew about the other goodies, but that
Yes,
is super exciting.
we are just launching that. It's called Vibrant Retreats, a branch of Dancing Lion Studio. It is a retreat to bring vibrancy back into your life. And it goes along with all of my philosophy and all of our philosophy. And so the first one's going to be a little staycation in January to bring in the new year, little weekend here in Delray. And then the sky's the limit.
That's right. The world is your oyster.
The world is my oyster. So I am just so filled with love and passion for everyone around me. I'm just so grateful that the universe put this in my path. I'm grateful that I keep sticking it out. This is not for the faint of heart, especially through COVID. But the yoga practice really helped me stay the course. And if you need something that's going to inspire you, practice yoga, try it out, find a teacher you love. If it's not here, somewhere else. It is just a beautiful practice. And from the bottom of my heart, it is my gift. And it's an honor to finally say that this is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Took me a long time, but
Yeah. But
but I'm here.
you found your way, and that's
Yeah,
huge. Not everyone does. So
yeah.
that's amazing. So, all right. So Fern can be found at dancinglionstudio.com. She can also be found on social media under the same name, I
Dancing Lion
assume,
Studio.
Fern?
Yeah. So on Facebook and Instagram, we are Dancing Lion Studio. I have my own. It's Fern L Conn. Because I do some things on my own to lead the way. So you can follow that. We are located in downtown Delray Beach. We can be found on MindBody to book, or you can call us. A really friendly person will always answer the phone. Dancing Line Studio at Gmail is our email address. Send me a note. I answer really fast, or on our website, you can send a little message. We love to connect with everybody. So,
Lots of ways to be
yeah.
in touch, and this has been a beautiful conversation. I will have all of the information on how to get in touch with Fern in the show notes, so don't worry, you will have all of that there at your fingertips if you are interested in reaching out. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Fern, very much.
Oh, thank you. I am so grateful to be able to share, and I love the community you have built, and you are a shining light, and I love collaborating with you.
Thank
So
you. I feel the same. And thank you, the listener, for tuning in with us and hopefully gathering lots of little seeds to plant out in the world and shine your light, blossom and grow and be beautiful. And it's a good time to be a part of this journey. And, even if it feels a little bumpy sometimes, there's always those bright spots and the smooth patches that make it worth the ride. So on that note, I will say goodbye for now. Thank you so much. I am Amalia and Natalia with Karmic Kindness. I appreciate you being here with Fern and myself for this captivating conversation on this episode of SoulFull Sessions.